Fight and flight are survival instincts. These are built-in survival mechanisms that keeps us safe. And so everybody has these built-in mechanisms already. And whenever you feel a threat, whenever you feel unsafe, you are either going to stand up and fight, survive, says, hey, I have to fight, or I'm going to flee from the threat because that's also a survival instinct. So if you are using fight, flight, or according to the assessment, compete or avoid, it simply means that you're still in survival mode. Now let's go back in our history a little bit and note two things. First of all, for fight and flight, compete and avoid, you do not need communication. The styles that result in better management and resolution of conflict are those where we communicate our needs. There is some level of discussion. In fight or compete, I don't have to talk. My hand will do all the talking. Fight. In avoid, flight, I still don't have to talk. I just leave. You know what? I'm gone. I don't even want to talk about this, think about it. I don't want to be a part of it. I'm out of here. So we don't have to communicate. Now, when we look at survival mode, I want us to think of these instincts and how they developed to the point now where, as adults, we're using them. Think about the hunters and gatherers. Think about our ancestors who lived out in the woods, and survival for them was what? Survival for the hunters and gatherers and the nomads, the people who had no fixed address like we do, meant that they had to be out there in the wild. It was survival of the fittest. And so their instinct had to be super high. Think about that, right? You're out there in the wild. If you've ever gone camping, right? I don't sleep when I go camping. I don't know about you, right? I see people snore and I'm like, you good. I am alert. I'm listening for tigers. I don't even know how tigers song. I am listening. I'm on full alert because I'm out there exposed to the element. And so my survival instinct, I'm on high survival mode. It's the same with our ancestors. And so they had to fight their way out, in the wild, or they had to run for cover when they felt that they were outwitted. And so the survival instinct is built in. It was high then because they needed it to survive out there in the wild where there was a lot of threat. Now, my profound question to you is, why do we still feel the need for that high survival mode? Why is it that even though our circumstances have changed drastically, that we still feel threatened to the extent that we feel we have to fight or we have to flight? We have to compete or we have to avoid. Let's put this in the context of our workplaces. What has us feeling this way is something that we really have to sit down and talk about, and we don't. Because we should be using some of the other conflict styles, because for the most part, our environment should feel safe And it should take away some of that need for us to always be in survival mode. So, what's happening in some of our workplaces? You don't have to answer me, but I do want you to think about it. What's going on for us to have to feel that this is where we are, right? It's not a good feeling. Now, I said all of these styles have their pros and their cons. Is there a place for compete? Of course, there's a place for compete. What we have to do is learn how to compete. And so instead of competing as if though we are in survival mode, we can compete differently. Competition can be healthy. Competition can bring out the good in you, not necessarily the bad in you. And so we can use what's already within us, what's already built in, what's going to come out in a positive way. So let's say, for example, there's one vacancy in the workplace. There's one vacancy, and you are told you can apply and you will be considered for the vacancy. But Leon and Yara are also going to apply for that vacancy. That's a competition. How do we regulate our emotions to the point where I don't become, Yara and Leon does not become public enemy number one and public enemy number two? How do I regulate? How do I make sure? Right? And if I feel threatened by the fact that Yara and Leon is also applying for the same post, and I start avoiding them, I start, whatever I do, then clearly I have work to do when it comes to how I compete, because I shouldn't feel threatened. Now, I have to be honest, sometimes the environment that we work in puts you on high alert and make you feel like, yeah, I have to cut throat the other people who are also competing for this position. You see how conflict arises as a result of this? How can I change that? How can we turn that around, especially in our workspaces where the competition exists, but it's healthy competition? And I don't feel like I have to eliminate barehanded the other person who is also competing. How do I do this? Let's stop for a moment to discuss, because it's important that we understand how a lot of these conflicts emerges as a result of our built-in instinct that we have not learned how to regulate. Why is it that I still feel that I am on high alert and that I have to fight? I have to fight.